All right. So once we click on faculty and staff at the top of the screen. All right, then we want to scroll down to the employee 1A CCS login.
Okay.
Now, when you get on this screen, you will click right here and it'll take you into Banner, but I want you all to look at this first. Your username is going to be your email address. Now, the password will differ depending on if you've ever been a Bishop State student or not. More than likely, if you've ever been registered as a Bishop State student, you're going to use this password right here, the Bishop ! And then your 6-digit date of birth. If you've never attended Bishop before, then the Bishop 2020 ! Is the one that you would use. As I said earlier, neither one has been working so far. A few people have been able to get in, and I've noticed that most of them have been former students and they've been able to log in with the 6-digit date of birth password. A few here and there have been able to get in with the Bishop 2020, and I think those are the ones that Ms. Powell has gotten around to resetting their password information.
No.
So if you try to log in now and you're not able to, then we'll let Ms. Powell know. Like I said, she's still working on those, but you may be able to get in right now with one of those passwords.
Are any of those, is that case sensitive?
Yes, you want that B capital. Everything else will be lowercase.
And watch where the exclamation point is. It's in different places for the passwords. And make sure you're only using the 6 digits.
Claude, are your people able to get in? Because I know you've been using Banner on the admin side, so you all should be okay.
Yeah, as of yesterday, we were able to get in. And that was because Miriam set us up.
Okay.
Was Juliet able to get in?
Juliet able to get in? Yeah, I mean yesterday.
Because I mean I haven't heard y'all talk about her. That's why I was wondering. Because I know that
yeah, she was able to. She was able to get in yesterday.
Okay, and y'all all can get into Argos too, even though there's nothing in your folder.
Yeah, that's correct. Right.
All right, so has anybody else been able to log in? Or has anybody tried?
I tried the other day and I was able to log in, but I used to be a student too, so I used the student information to log in.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, like I say, that's been the majority of the ones that's been able to log in is because they've been a student before. Okay. So if you can't log in right now, like I said, Ms. Powell is still going through that list, working on that for us. Hopefully everything will be worked out, if not today, by tomorrow. So we can at least have the weekend, you know, get yourself familiarized before registration opens up on Monday. But just follow along with me. Like I said, I'm recording this session so we can always go back to it for access. And then I do have some PDF formats of user guides for faculty side and for student side. So once we click on this link, it's going to take us into, well, I'm already, let me go back out because I'm already logged in on the admin side.
Mm-hmm.
Let me close this out and go back. All right, so when you click on that link, it's going to bring you to this website, which is Banner, Illusion Parent Company. So like I say, your username is going to be your email address. And depending on if you're a student or not, you know, your password will differ. Once you're logged in, this is what it's going to bring you to. This is your Banner screen. If you've been a student before, you'll have the student tab across the top. If not, you're only going to see faculty services, employee, and finance. Student side, all they will see is a student tab and a finance tab for financial aid type information.
Hey, do me a favor real quick.
What's that?
Let me show everybody something because this is new. Go to finance.
Okay.
Go to, no, it's not going, they won't have finance. They'll only have student. Go to student. And you see where it says student account?
Okay.
Go to that.
That's right. They had the finance tab right now because they didn't have access to
Yeah.
anything else. Okay.
Yeah, so this is something dumb, but it's something that y'all should be aware of because y'all are going to run into this. If the student's paying out of pocket, they go to that account tab, and then to actually pay, they go to TouchNet. And they're not going to know what TouchNet is. And I'm trying to see if we can get it changed to like pay my charges or something like that. So, you know, Justin, I know that's the sort of thing y'all have on that Facebook page of yours. We'll be trying to pay for classes. Just so you'll know, before I forget, and until I can get them to change that, it's going to say TouchNet. Very dumb. I don't know why somebody didn't think about that. But anywho, sorry. I wanted to tell y'all that before I forgot about it.
And while you're on that though, Phil, you made me remember when I did speak with Miss Powell this morning. Any student that had registered for like mini term 2 courses that didn't pay before we made this transition, they now have to pay their charges through Banner.
Yeah, and I think even if we registered them like we're still working with truck driving, supposedly the charges move over within like 24 hours. So that's kind of the reason to know that. Click on it real quick.
Which one?
You can click on TouchNet. Yeah. See how it does that same thing as it does for the advising profile? It takes you to a separate screen.
Gotcha.
And then you have to go through all this, you know, and then it almost, you know, it looks very different. So I don't know if this is better or worse for them, but it's definitely, this part of it's definitely a big jump from, you know, what Boris was for them. And like I said, the fact that it's called TouchNet is just ridiculous. I mean, they're like, this is also like, oh, well, just put up instructions on the website. And we're just like, they're not going to read all that. They will come back and say they didn't pay. We got to leave them in class. So, anyway.
I do this. What does it take me to? Okay. So then this is where they would make payment. So this is what they'll be dealing with when they get inside of that TouchNet. Okay. All right. So coming back to the main screen, we're going to start out on the Faculty Services tab. Oh, let me do this. Before we start there, I'm going to go back to our with the transition to Banner. The baseline Banner program that we have right now doesn't have degree plans built into it. The degree plans are going to come through a third-party company called Prereqs, and that is not going to come online until the spring semester. So for the fall, we're going to have to do some old school type of advising by going through students' transcripts and maybe degree plans, and kind of just working through them with worksheet. So what we're going to be using, or what you will have access to, are degree planners. And to find those degree planners, you come back out to the web page. Across the top, you'll see digital catalog in this top right corner. Click on digital catalog. It's going to bring you to the general catalog and student handbook. On the left side of the screen, you'll see you have different options. Right here towards the middle, you'll see academic programs, health-related programs, technical programs. So the degrees are broken out under, you know, depending on which program it falls under. Or you can just choose all programs. And it's going to show you every program that we offer. and they're grouped by degrees. So it goes from the AASs all the way down through short-term certificates. All you have to do is just choose one of these programs, and it's gonna give you information and show you a degree plan. So on our end, most of us will be advising Gen Ed students. So we'll look at the Gen Ed degree plan. So when you click on general education, it's gonna bring you to the next screen, which basically just shows you the 4 or the 5 areas of the degree plans like we would normally see within Alliant. It's going to tell you what courses you can choose under those areas. So for area 1, we know that's always English Comp. Then area 2 is broken out. Area 3 with the math and sciences, and then area 4. And if you notice on here, it looks a little bit different as far as the offerings. And that's because this only shows courses that we actually offer. Like for instance, in area 2, if you look in the degree plan on Alliant, you might see that THR 120 for that theater class, and that's mostly for transfer purposes, but we don't offer that class. So these classes are actually the classes that we have offered, before or we are currently offering. When you get to area 5, it's only going to show orientation, and that's because area 5 electives are so broad. But if a student ever asks you, if a course can be used in area 5, or if you're just curious as to what area a course may fall under, come back up to where those programs are listed. You can click on course descriptions. Once you click on course descriptions, you can look at all the courses that we offer. They're listed in alphabetical order, but you can filter based on a particular course that you're looking for. The way you would do that is you would click here on the prefixes and you'll see all the subject codes. Let's just say a student is looking for a biology course. So we select biology and then we click on filter. It's going to show you every course we have, or every course that can be offered under the biology prefix. Say the student is asking about Bio 201. Is it area 3? Is it area 5? They're not sure. Click on Bio 201. It's going to give you the course description, any prereqs that are associated with the course, credit hours the course is. Of course, with sciences, it's going to mention how many hours the lab is. And then underneath at the bottom, you'll see that it says, no course may be used in area 5. So for each course, you'll see that note under there if it can be used in area 5. Courses that are listed in areas 1 through 4, you won't see that, such as Bio 103. That's because it's already listed under that area on that front page. So only those courses that will have that area 5 or can be used in area 5 will have that note listed or notated on that course description. Everybody good on that part?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to come back out to all programs and we're going to click on Gen Ed again. Okay. Whenever you click on a program, when it brings you to that next screen, when you get into the program's details, at the top, you're going to see 4 icons on every screen. This first icon that looks like a sheet of paper, that's going to be a degree planner. So if you click there, it's going to open up the degree plan for you. All right. So from here, you can click on print this page and you can save it as a PDF, or you can save it to your Google Drive if you choose. That way you always have access to it, regardless if you're at home, at work, or wherever. Because right now, we've had a lot of internet outages based on, due to the construction that's going on and infrastructure changes. So, said, sometimes we may not have access to Alliant from home. We may not have access to Campus Key. So you can always look at a student's degree plan if you just go to the website, or if you already have this degree plan downloaded. So what you'll do with this degree plan is basically you can look at a student's transcript, or sometimes you may be able to look at the student's degree plan in Alliant right now. Because right now the degree plan will already have marked what classes have been taken, what classes the student is registered for, So you can use that as it's kind of a guide to go by. And then just kind of go through here and check off what classes the student has taken already. And after that, you can determine, what's left, what they need and what areas. And then based upon that information, advise based upon that information. Keep in mind with Banner, there is an unofficial transcript that students will have access to and we will have access to as well. And that transcript is updated through spring of 2020. So any classes that the student has taken all the way up into spring 2020 will show on that unofficial transcript in Banner. Same information can be found in Alliant as well, but we're trying to pull away from Alliant because we're not exactly sure how long we're going to have access to that information. So when you're advising a student for the fall, take into consideration if that student is registered for any classes this summer. Those summer classes won't appear in Banner as of now. They will probably closer to September, and that's going to be after the semester starts. So for right now, you'd have to kind of, talk to the student to see what they're enrolled in for the summer if they're registered. And then you can still look in Alliant to see their summer schedule. So you do have that to rely upon as well. But, just keep that information in mind as you're talking to a student. And I know right now with the situation we're dealing with, we're not doing any face-to-face registration. Everything's going to be online. So you may not do as much advising as you all helped out in the past. But I know with the LAC, you all have students that, are just comfortable coming to you all. So they're going to come to you for questions and help for advising. Same with research. You have some students that know you from past experiences when you helped with registration. So they're going to want to probably come to you. So just keep that in mind with any student that you're helping out. So I wanted to start with that, get that out the way. So you just know that that information is out there for you to access. And like I said, there is a booklet that we had for you all that has all of these degree plans already printed out for you to reference. Every degree plan for every program that we offer is all in one location in a booklet that Dr. Perry put together. But that is in PDF format as well. So I'll email that to you all when I get a chance. So you'll have that to access whenever you need it. So coming back into Banner, I'm going to start by showing you where you can find the student's unofficial transcript. So if you come down to the bottom under student information menu, it'll bring you to this screen where you can select unofficial transcript or you can click on ID selection. I would advise always starting with the ID selection. And that's because once you've pulled a student up, anytime you click on unofficial transcript, it's going to keep coming back to that same student. So start out by clicking on ID selection. And of course, we'll select the fall term. Once you come to this screen, you can search for a student based on their A number, or you can look them up by first and last name. Okay. So if you decide to look them up by first and last name, I'm going to use this test student that I've been using in all the training sessions. The student last name is Beckham, but let's say I don't remember what the student's first name is, or I don't remember how to spell their first name. You can just type in the last name only, hit submit, and on this next screen, it's going to give you a drop down of all students with that last name. All right. So Mr. LaKendrick Beckham is the student that I was using. So I'll select his name, click submit, and it's going to bring me back out to this screen. From there, you click unofficial transcript. You don't have to worry about changing anything on this page because the only level that we have is undergraduate, of course, because we don't offer any graduate courses. And we can only look at the unofficial transcript. So you won't ever need to change anything on this screen. So just click display transcript and it's going to bring you to this student's transcript. On the transcript, you can see the student's date of birth. If you ever have an instance where two students have the same name, you just want to verify, you can always verify by the date of birth on the transcript. You'll be able to see that student's program that they're currently in. And then, as I stated, every class that they've taken up until spring 2020 will show on this unofficial transcript. This student started out as a technical dual enrollment student in high school. So The student started out in the spring 17 in dual enrollment, and they've been with us all the way through spring of 20. And like I say, that's where this unofficial transcript will end as of right now. Once the summer is done and admissions does their process to move over academic history, you will be able to see that student summer term grades as well, if they were registered for a summer. Any questions about unofficial transcript? And if a student has transfer credit, that will appear. And if anyone has dealt with a banner school before, you already know how it looks. All your transfer information will appear first, and then it'll roll into our institution credit. Okay, everyone good on that? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing we're gonna look at is the advising student profile. And this is gonna be the big thing for the LAC, because this is where you will see the students' test scores. All right. So if you're set up as an advisor for students, you can always click right here on View My Advisee Listing, and it's gonna show you every student that has been assigned to you, whether they're active or inactive. A current student or a graduated student, it's gonna still list them. All right. If for say, which will probably be the case with LAC members, student is not your advisee, but they want to know who their advisor is, or they just want some information, you can always search a student by the student ID, which will be the A number. They have to use A numbers now. It's no more of that old Alliant student number. So you can search them by A number, you can look them up by their email address, or you can search by their name. If you choose to search by name, always enter last name first, followed by a comma, then first name. But if you notice, once you start typing in a student's last name, students will start populating for you. So again, I'm looking for Mr. LaKendrick Beckham. So put in a comma, then I'll start with the L's. He's the first one. In this drop-down list, you'll see the student's name, you can see their A number, and you'll see their email address if they have one listed. One thing to take note of, if a student is a junior or a third, don't type that information in this box because it won't recognize it. And I'll just use a student that I know is a junior. When you start typing that student's name in, once you select that student, you see down here in bold letters, it'll show if that's the junior or a third. So you can still, find out which student you have selected from the list before you even go into the profile. But even after that, if you click on the profile, there are some, the student's date of birth is in there, so you can still identify based on the student's date of birth. So I'm gonna go back to Mr. Beckham. We'll look at his advising profile, and you'll see what all information is located within this student profile. Up top, you'll see that there's the bio information, so you'll see the student's email address, you'll see phone number if that's listed. Again, you'll see the date of birth. Underneath, under general information, you'll see if that student is a sophomore or freshman, if they're active or inactive, if they're a continuing student or a first-time freshman, if they're in-state or out-of-state resident, and first term they attended and the last term attended. And here down at the bottom, this is where you can tell, see who the advisor is for that student. So Mr. Higginbottom is this student's advisor because the student is in the drafting program. Phil, I'm just noticing that this graduation information popped up. This hasn't been showing lately in the past training. So I don't know if that will be useful using that. They're not going to be doing that on.
Well, we're not. That's probably if we were going to use the electronic graduation application, but we're not.
Gotcha.
So that would be. I assume that's what that would be.
Okay. I see we have some more links over here too, so that's good. This is going to be a good training session, hopefully. So over to the right, you'll notice some more information about the student's curriculum. what degree they're in. Of course, this is AAS under Drafting and Design Technology. For the college, this is only for data purposes. It won't affect your advising or the student registering for a course. But when we set these programs up, we had to give each program a college. So all of our technical programs are under career technical. General education is under academic transfer. And allied health is under career technical as well. So you'll see that information. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal because it won't affect anything. Underneath, you'll notice it states registered courses. Once the student begins registering for fall courses, any courses that they're registered for will appear right here. And when they begin registering for courses, you'll also see that it'll show how many hours the student is registered for. For some students, you may see a minimum hours, a maximum hours. Those will be mostly for athletes. We've set that up so that when athletes are advised, they're taking at least the minimum hours of 12 or whatever the athletic director sets those at. The same with scholarship students. They have a minimum amount of hours. So for those students, if you see a minimum hours, that's going to kind of tell you that that student is either an athlete or a scholarship student, you know, someone that has to take a required amount of hours to meet their scholarship obligations. So what else you can see on this side is the student's hours and GPA. So for the GPA, anytime you see a GPA in banner, it's always going to be the student's cumulative GPA. In Alliant, on the degree plan, you know, you will see an in-plan GPA and a cumulative GPA. Well, that in-plan is not in banner. So anytime you see the student's GPA, it's going to be cumulative. It's going to be the overall GPA. The hours that you see will be all hours that the student has earned at Bishop. Institutional credit hours and transfer credit hours will show. And if there are any transfer hours, it will be separated out on a different row. One thing to take note of, up top in this black bar, you'll already see what the student overall credit hours are and what their GPA is. This is going to be helpful because the way we're doing registration is going to be staggered based on how many credit hours a student has obtained. So starting Monday, when we open registration on July 13th, only students that have 45 or more credit hours will be allowed to register. Okay, so this student is at 43, so they won't be able to register as of Monday. On July 16th, registration will open up to students with 30 or more credit hours. So that's when this student will be able to register. And then July 22nd will be when first-time freshmen and any student with 0 to 29 credit hours will be allowed to register. So keep that in mind, because if you get a call from a student, when we open registration on Monday, hey, I can't register, it's not allowing me to register, you can look in their profile or you can have them look and say, hey, this is only for students with 45 or more hours. So you can check it or have them check it and they can see how many hours they have, and then you can let them know when registration will open up for them. Also in the black box on top, you'll see registration notices and holds. For the registration notices, it's going to let you know if a student is in good standing, if they're on academic probation, if they're on academic suspension, if a student needs to reapply to the college. That can be found under registration notices, as well as if the student is active or inactive. I see this time tickets has popped up here. Time tickets will be something based on what we were just talking about, when registration will open. That's what that is tied to. How many credit hours a student has will let them know when they're allowed to register. As far as the holds, every student will have a program advising hold on their account at the beginning of each semester. It's no different from what we did in Alliant. Every semester, every student had to be authorized to register. So the same will translate into Banner. The only difference is in Alliant, it was authorized, unauthorized, and Banner is going to show as a program advising hold. Only the advisors or anyone that has advisor access can release those holds. All you have to do is click on the checkbox, hit release, that student is able to register. The program advising holds can be released at any point in time that is showing. You don't have to wait until that student is able to register. So as for instance, with this student, I can release his hold now. That way, when July 16 hits, that student can register without having to contact me again to open it up for him. You notice it says 2 holds, but it's only showing us 1. We only are allowed to see the holds that we can release. So this student may have another hold under the business office or admissions or financial aid. We won't be able to see them. Only that department that can release that hold will be able to see it. But on the student side, when they look in their profile, they will be able to see every hold that they have on their account. So this student will see this program advising hold, and whatever this other hold is on their account, they will be able to see that. So to the part that will pertain to LAC, when you click on prior education and testing, this is where you can see the student's test scores. Now, this is not where test scores will be entered. That's going to be on the back end of admin banner, but you all can see their test scores. The students can see their test scores, and it's going to show AccuPlacer, ACT, high school scores. If the student is still within that 5-year limit of compass testing, it'll show compass scores. Banner has ACT scores set up and the prereqs are defined already. So if Mr. Cooler decides that we want to start entering in ACT scores, those will show as well. One thing to note while we're talking about scores, in Alliant, when we put test scores in for students, Alliant will automatically tell you where students placed. So it will let you know if this student placed into English 101 or English 101 with the 099. Banner is not going to do that for us. So we're going to have to look at those screening levels that Mr. Cooley has provided to us and go through screening level 1 all the way through 3. If the student doesn't have the ACT scores, we have to look at high school. If they don't have high school scores, then we have to advise them to take the AccuPlacer. And then let them know, based on the scores they have, where they will place. Banner is not going to automatically put that in here anywhere for students to know or for advisors to know. You have to, you just have to know what those cut scores are, and having that screening level sheet is the best recommendation I suggest, because we have access to the calculator that the ACCS provided, but the problem you run into with that calculator is for ACT scores and for high school scores, AccuPlace as well. If you don't have a test date to put in there, those scores are not going to populate to put the student in the right course. If you don't put if you don't have a test date and you don't put anything in there, it's automatically going to put the student in 098s for English and math. So, like I say, using the screening levels, I think will be more convenient. But we still have access to that calculator if that's something that you want to do. So far, any questions on what you've seen so far? Testing or credit hours, GPA, anything? Okay. So this link just popped up. This wasn't in a previous session, so I'm going to click and see where it takes us.
Mr. Medice,
Yes.
how do we actually change the score or update scores?
That's going to be through Banner Admin. Mr. Cooley has access to that.
Okay.
So he will be able to update those test scores. And one thing to note with those test scores, on the Banner Admin side, when you're entering test scores in, we have some students that want to come and take the test the same day. I mean, they want to take it more than one time in the same day. Banner will only let you put in 1 test score per day. So what you will end up doing, if a student comes in, takes AccuPlacer English and scores a 4, and they want to come back and take it an hour later and they score a 5, you can't enter both scores with that same test date. So basically what you would do is just override that 4 and just enter that 5 in as the highest score that they have, because Banner's not going to allow you to put 2 on the same day. So just keep that in mind. But test scores won't be entered on this side. That'll be on Banner Admin. And I think Mr. Cooley has already gone through some training with that, but we can always revisit you know, if need be, to enter those test scores in. All right. Phil, I'm believing this is where they're going to see degree works when that opens up, since it didn't give me anything when I clicked on it. But that's something to note.
Yeah, I don't. We'll probably find out because I mean, you know, it's not coming out of Banner
Right.
when it happens.
All right. So I'm going to look up another student just to show you something else to be aware of. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on my advisee listing and just pull up my list of advisees because it's something else I want you all to see. So this gives me the list of all the advisees that have been assigned to me. It defaults at 10 per page, but you can look at up to 20 per page. And it'll show you how many advisees you have in all. On this front screen, you'll be able to see a lot of that same information that you saw within the student profile. So for this first column that says advisor holds, if a student has a check mark in that box, that means that student has a hold on their account that needs to be released for them to be able to register. Under primary advisor, if there's a check mark, that means an advisor has been assigned to that student. So if there's no check mark there, that student doesn't have an advisor for whatever reason. Under student type, this will show you if the student is continuing or first-time freshman. Under student status, this will show you if a student is inactive or active. And each one of these columns can be filtered. So if you're just looking for all students that are active, I just hit on that sort at the top of that column, and you see it's giving me everybody that's active first. So all my inactives will drop to the bottom. Okay. So, all right, let's go over. All right, so under program, of course, it's going to show you what program that student is in. Like I say, the study level is always going to be undergrad for our students. Under admit type is going to show if that student is unconditionally admitted or conditionally admitted, and I'm going to let Phil talk on that in a moment. Under admit term, that's just the term that the student was admitted in. Catalog term, of course, is what catalog the degree plan falls under. Again, you see that college. So academic transfer is going to be for all gen ed majors, and all technical programs will be under career technical. And here you can see the student's academic standing. So you see students are in good standing. Let me filter back based on name and ID. You can also see students that are on academic probation. You can see students that are on academic suspension. So just on this front screen, you can get a lot of information. You know, if a student is asking, why can't I register, or it's saying that I need readmission, you can let them know just by looking at this. If they're in inactive student status, you already know they need to fill out another admissions application. So I'm going to go back to the admit type real quick and let Phil speak on that, because that will be key in if a student can register and if they can get financial aid.
Yeah, so well, I don't know if this is Banner everywhere, but in Banner, the way ACCS set it up, there's 3 different kinds of admit types. The first type is pending, and then there's conditionally admitted, and there's unconditionally admitted. And so pending means that they put in an application and we processed it, but they have not specifically, they've not turned in their state or their government issued ID, but they probably haven't turned in anything else. It means that they cannot register. It means that they don't have an advisor that's signed. It means that financial aid is, in a holding pattern. For them to become conditionally admitted, they must turn in what the government issued ID, which is, normally would be their, unexpired driver's license. Once they do that, it creates what's called a learner record for them, and then they'll be able to, we'll assign an advisor, and they would actually be able to register for classes. You would be able to authorize them to register for classes. But if they were dependent on, any sort of financial aid to pay for their classes, financial aid wouldn't kick in. The financial aid will only kick in once they're unconditionally admitted. And what that means is they must have everything that's on whatever little checklist is. They must have everything in. That also includes all their college transcripts. So if you'll, remember, in the recent past, up until pretty much this, this semester, or well, going into fall, they could get a semester to come to Bishop and get financial aid, like if they didn't have all their college transcripts in it. This was their first time. But the way the ACCS has set this up is that that's not what's going to happen. They must have all the college transcripts, high school transcript, GED, every requirement on the admission side before we can mark them as unconditional. And once we mark them as unconditional, it triggers something in financial aid. Their aid is pretty much, I want to say, it's almost automatic process. I think the office has to do something, but I mean, it's not much. So if you were working with a student and you saw a student that's conditionally admitted, you need to tell them, hey, you need to go to your self-service and you need to see what it is you're missing, because if we get to that, that purge date, and they're waiting on aid, well, they'll get pulled out because the aid wouldn't have kicked in yet. And a couple other things to mention is that purge date, in the past, the purge date was subject to change. Deans and folks would look at the numbers and say, well, let's hold it for another couple days, or, maybe we'll wait a week and before we purge. But the purge is no longer being controlled by my office. It's going into the business office. And I'm pretty sure once they set it up, it's going to be a job that runs automatically, and that it will not be the case where, a dean can call and say, hey, let's hold the purge. It's going to be probably a pretty firm thing. It's going to run, and that's going to be the end of it. And there's also there's no longer a do not purge list. So there's no way for us to, hold a student schedule. So it's important that they get in that unconditional admission type, because otherwise, I don't know of any way to where we can save them other than put them back in classes, up until the point where we can't do so anymore. Thanks.
All right. Any questions about that? Everybody good? All right. I take silence as a yes. Okay, so I'm gonna look into another student's profile so I can show you all something. We'll pull up Ms. Baker. And you can see same information as we saw from Mr. Beckham, email address, phone number if it's provided, date of birth, who the advisor is, what program they're in, the student is in Gen Ed, the hours, GPA, registration notices, and holds. But what I want you all to notice under the prior education and testing, this student has ACT scores in, and they also have high school scores. The admissions office only puts in the high school GPA and scores if the student meets that 2.75 minimum requirement to use the high school scores for placement in math and English. What I want you all to be aware of is in Banner, the scores are different from how it looked in Alliant. In Alliant, they put in A, B, C, D based on what the student's grade was. Well, in Banner, it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. And it correlates basically with a student's, like the GPA works and the quality points. So, excuse me, for an A, that's 4 points, a B is 3 points, C is 2, D is 1. So that's how scores are gonna be put in for high school classes in Banner. So this student had a 4 in calculus, which means that student had an A, and the same thing with their high school English. They had a 4, which means that student had an A. Had she had a B, the score would be a 3. A C would be a 2. So I just want you all to just be familiar with that. So when you see it, you know what that is. It's the same concept, just they use numerical instead of alphabet. Let me go back to another student that is inactive. And I just want to show you in the registration notices for this inactive student, readmission is required prior to registration. So that lets the student know they need to reapply to the college, they need to do another application, residency form, which the residency form is built into the admissions application now. Everything is online, so that student doesn't have to go through 2 different screens and fill out, 2 different forms. It also tells you that this student is on academic probation under their standing. That they're inactive. But of course, just because the student is on probation doesn't mean they can't register. So it's still going to allow them to register once they meet the admissions requirements. So I just wanted to show you that information on what else you can see besides a student just everything being okay to go for a student to register. I think that's it on that. And then I did want to show you what the ACT looked like in there. SAT scores can be entered as well. And like I said, the prereqs were already set up and they were copied over to this second cohort of schools that went through banner training. So it's on us to adjust, the information. But these SAT prereqs are in there for math and English. So if Mr. Cooley does decide to use SAT instead of converting to ACT scores, we're ready for that. So that's going to be totally up to how he wants to operate on that end. But I just wanted to show you that SAT scores will appear in there. All right. Any questions on this? We're going to jump to the course catalog and class schedule. Everybody good on the advising profile? Yes, ma'am.
What was that? I saw where it stated email all. Are you able to email them individual? I saw some on top where it stated email.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Ms. Wallace.
Wow.
So when we were going through training and they were testing this out, the email all function did work, and you can email all students by clicking that. Let's see, we tried it in one of our previous sessions and it didn't come up.
Okay.
But you can see it's trying to open up. I don't know if it's something on our end that we need to finish setting up or if it's something that they haven't gotten to yet, because they're still, like I say, we just had some more stuff pop up today that wasn't in the last 2 training sessions or the last 2 days. So I think there's stuff, but yeah, to answer your question, there should be a function to email all advisees. Like if we're coming up on registration, you want to let all your advisees know registration is opening up, or if Mr. Cooley sends us something about the LAC and, testing and tutoring times, we can copy and paste forward that and just send it all to them, which will be, that'll be a very convenient tool to use. Like I said, I just don't think they're finished setting it up yet.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought that up because someone else did ask about it.
Ms. Mediz.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for you. SAT scores.
Okay.
Has the system office course guideline placement chart for the SAT scores?
The only guideline that I've seen is the one that you included with your last placement chart that showed the conversion from SAT to ACT. That's why I'm saying, and we could talk about it. That's why I'm kind of leaving it in your hands, because the school that they copied over from for these prereqs, I believe, was Gaston State. So they had the SAT set up already. But, I don't know if they're following the ACC guideline or if they set it up based on their parameters, because different schools did set some things up a little bit differently than how we had. I cleaned up some of it. I kind of left the SAT alone just in case you wanted to use that. And like I said, we can revisit and see if those scores are appropriate based on the conversions, or if you get any information from system office on what those cut scores should be. So we can talk about that.
All right, that's all I needed.
Okay. All right. So when I go back to over to the SSB side, it's gonna time me out. So if you stay in this profile for, I don't even know what the time limit is, but if you stay in there for a certain amount of time, it's gonna log you out of SSB. So I'm just gonna log back in. Just go back to the link. All right. So coming back under faculty services. So we talked about student information menu, which will be where you can find the student's unofficial transcript. The advising student profile, where you can see students' test scores. The course catalog is straight to the point. I mean, it is what it is. You can look by each subject if you want to see a course description, how many credit hours a course is. We'll just pull up English. You know, if we were to look at a course that had lecture and lab hours separated out, it would show how many hours are lab, how many are lecture. As you can see, this was copied over as well. There's a lot of conversion going on between Alliant and Banner and cohort 1 schools and cohort 2 schools. So to save us some time, some things were copied from another school. And this, when it's copied, it was copied to all the schools that were in our cohort. So as you see, ENG 092 and 093 are still in there, but we can, you know, as I meet with department chairs, some of this will probably be cleaned up. But every course is in there, course descriptions. On some course descriptions, if you notice right here on this ENG 093, they put prereq and co-req requirements in the course description. That's not going to roll over into when the student gets ready to register. Of course, we're not offering this course, but on some that we do offer, I've run across, I've seen where they've had a prereq of a course that's needed to take this course, and that's not how we operate. So I'm just letting you know that if a student asks about it, or if you see it in the course description, that doesn't mean that's how we're going to necessarily have it set up. And until I can get all that cleaned up, you know, you may run across a few like that. But like I say, you'll see one thing that's cool about Banner. If you notice, like with the ENG 101 and 102, you'll see course attributes, the area 1 course attributes. With ENG 131, it's area 5. Creative writing is area 5. With lit, you'll see area 2 and area 5. Where this is going to come into play when we get degree works, hopefully in the spring, that's what we've been told. When degree works rolls out, that's going to be our new degree plan and degree audit system that'll keep students on track, let them know what they need to graduate, what advisors need to be advising students on, you know, based on what they're taking. What degree works will do. In Gen Ed, we know in area 2, fine arts and humanities, a student only needs 12 hours. So right now, if a student has, let's say 15 hours in area 2, we're having to manually and let them know that, hey, you already meet the requirements in area 2, so these extra 3 hours can be used in area 5. We can use these as elective hours. Where with degree works, once that student has reached that 12-hour requirement, and let's say they take another lit class, it's automatically gonna put it in area 5 for them. So they already know it's in electives. We won't have to let them know. They're not gonna have to manually, you know, calculate how many hours they have that can be used as electives. When admissions gets ready to run their degree report to see, you know, who's ready to be graduated, Phil and Candy won't have to do all that manual looking through to see if they can pick up hours from anywhere else. It's gonna be right there for them to know. So that's a real neat feature in degree works. That's gonna save us a lot of headache. But like I said, course catalog, nothing fancy about it. It's just gonna show you all that information about that course. But let me pull up, let me do a math. So you see your Math 100 is Area 5 already labeled Area 5. 110 has that Area 3 and Area 5 attribute. So if a student already meets their math requirement and they take another math, it'll automatically put it in Area 5 for them. The schedule types, when you see these schedule types, that's just listing how a class can potentially be offered. That doesn't mean they're necessarily offering the class in that format for a certain semester. So with Math 110, you see that it's hybrid, lecture, and online. That doesn't mean we're going to necessarily offer it that way for the fall. But you see lecture is highlighted. We have a hyperlink. If you see that, then we are offering it in that format. So we do have a lecture schedule type for Math 110, and for Math 112, we have the same thing, which some of that will be changing. I'm still working on the math schedule. Some of those will roll over to online. The faculty detail, for those of you that may have adjunct classes, the faculty detail schedule will show you any courses that you've been assigned to, and that will allow you to operate as an instructor. So you can enter your midterm grades from here. You can enter in final grades. You can see your class roster, which we have a detailed class list and a summary class list. I'm not sure of the specifics on which you'll be able to see, you know, what will be the difference in the two, but of course, I'm thinking detailed class list will show you a little bit more, but those will be your class rosters. You can also get to those from this front screen as well. So you have detailed class list, summary class list, and final grades. All right, so class schedule is the big thing that everyone wants to know about and how that looks and how that'll work. So with the class schedule, again, you can limit by subject, where you have to click on a subject. You can't just hit class search and it's going to show you everything. You have to select at least one subject. But once you select the subject, let's say we're looking at English, we can limit that subject based on what campus is offered on, if it's a full term, mini term, late start class, what instructor is teaching that class, or what attribute that course may have. So let's say a student is looking for an English class that may be considered an Area 2, that will fall under the Area 2 attribute. If we select English in Area 2 and hit class search, of course, it's going to bring us back all literatures, because that's the only ENG class that's offered that can be used in Area 2. Your other ENGs like the creative writing and the English 131 would fall under Area 5. So students can use that feature if they want to just look at a class that's offered under a certain area, or we can do that at all, and we can look at all offerings of class of all English courses. So it's going to show us every section of English from 099s all the way through ENG 272. So every ENG course will be listed, they can see. And it'll show this way on our end and on the student side whenever they look at the class schedule. So for each section, you'll be given the class the class description, what term the class is offered in. Of course, we're in fall. The registration dates, which registration opens Monday, July 13th, and will go all the way through the last day of dropping ad, which is August 26th. It'll show if there are any attributes attached to it. So for 099, we have that's a developmental course, so students will know. And of course, say with the ENG 101, 102, they will show the Area 1 attributes. Okay. It will show what campus the course is listed, is taught on. So main campus, Carver, Southwest, it'll show that campus. It'll show you the schedule and instructional type. And what I've been advising faculty and staff, if a student asks how a class is gonna be delivered, always go by that instructional method. Traditional is your face-to-face. Of course, if it's hybrid, it'll tell you hybrid and online. But the schedule type is more for DAX purposes, and just to show, basically for data. But the instructional method is what I would prefer you all to go by when you're telling the student how the class is going to be offered or if the student asks. For each section, it's going to tell you how many credit hours the course is, and then the course is going to list days and times and what location the class is offered in and who's teaching that class. I haven't assigned this part yet, but it'll show the instructors. The student can, of course, get back to the catalog from here just by clicking View Catalog Entry, and it's going to take them back to the catalog where it shows the course description, all that information. When the student clicks on the actual section of the course, it's going to give them detailed class information. So it's going to show how many seats, what's the capacity for the course. It's going to show how many students are registered and how many seats are remaining. Of course, just be aware, Banner doesn't look at pre-registered and registered. So every student that registers is going to be considered registered, whether they've paid or not. It's not going to separate it like it did in Alliant. So just be mindful of that, especially when we're getting close to the purge and, you know, students are trying to see if classes are going to open up or not. There'll be reports on the back end that we can run for the chairs and the deans and administrators to look at to see how many students are actually paid in the course. But just on the face of things, when you're looking at this information from the faculty and advisor side and from the student side, those numbers are not separated. All we can tell a student is how many people are in that class and how many seats are remaining. You notice they'll see if there's any Prereqs attached. So for this course, English 101. Banner is built to pull these courses together. Unlike Alliant, where we had students register for ENG 1099 and not getting the 101, throwing numbers off, and students were just hung out there with that one class when they needed both. Banner is built to pull both of those together. I've tied them together that way. We'll know Monday if it works out, but it's supposed to, and do all the testing that we did, you know, before this went live, everything worked. So when the student went to register for one of them, that 099 required you to take that 101. It's going to tell you what CRN number to use. Speaking of CRN numbers, that's this 5-digit number. Each course will have a CRN number. And basically, the CRN number is going to be the same as the call number was in boards. You know, when students registered in boards, they couldn't use the section, the course and section number. They had to use that 5-digit call number. That's what they'll use in Banner, is this 5-digit CRN number. And I'll show you on the student side how all that looks and what they'll see when they get ready to register for courses. Let me go down to English 101 and click on that so I can show you what it'll look like on that side. So you'll see the same information, the capacity, how many students are registered, how many students are remaining. I mean, how many open seats are remaining. But notice it shows all prereqs that are associated with that course. ACT scores, AccuPlacer scores, high school scores. All of that can be seen on both sides, student side and faculty advisor side. So if a student is trying to see why they can't register for a class, if they just look in these prereqs, or if an advisor, faculty member looks it up, they can automatically see what those prereqs are. The prereqs, like I said, I went through and tried to clean up everything based on how we have our setup. So everything that you see on those screening level charts that Mr. Cooley has printed out and has available, these prereqs should line up the same way. With the exception of the ACT, which apparently I removed the ACT on this particular course. But it can be added if we choose to use SAT, that would be listed under here as a prereq as well with what score they need on the ACT. And any transfer courses or any, you know, prereq courses that they need, such as ENR 98, that's going to show. So a student will always be able to see what a prereq is for a course. They won't have to rely on advisors to tell them, hey, you need Math 112 before you can take Chem 111. It's going to automatically show on this screen for them to know. with that being said, oh, I take that back. The SAT is on here, Mr. Cooley. This evidence-based reading and writing right score, that 510. But some of them will say SAT because they had so many different options for SAT. This particular school, I think this was the outdated one. The updated ones are actually saying SAT. So we'll revisit all of that. But it, like I say, it does show on here as well. Let me go over to the math side, and I want you all to be aware of something that's a change that's taking place this semester with the math courses. I have to go all the way back out. All right, so with math, we'll look at all math courses. Again, you'll see the same information, the CRN number, with campus the course is located on, days and times. If you notice, when you look at, you will notice if you look at this class schedule, we have Math 099s, we have Math 100. Notice it goes from Math 100 to Math 110. For the fall semester, and this may be going forward, but for at least the fall semester, we're not offering the Prereqs of Math 109 and Math 111. So what that's gonna do, and I've already changed the Prereqs, what that's gonna do, we basically will be advising based on how the placing, the AccuPlacer and ACT scoring was before the ACCS brought in the Prereq models for 109 and 111. Any student that has an 18 or a 19 on the ACT will have to take Math 100. They will not be given that option to take the Math 110 with the 109 or the Math 112 with the 111 Prereqs this fall. You know, with those Prereq models for the past year or two, if they had an 18 or a 19, they could take Math 112 with the 111 and Math 110 with the 111 to try to get them those upper level math courses. Well, we're doing away with those this fall, so those 18 and 19s are gonna fall back into that Math 100 level. The 17 on the ACT will stay the same. They can still take Math 100 with the 099. To take Math 110 or 112, they will need a 20 on the ACT. Or they'll need to AccuPlace a score of 267 or higher. The high school scores will not place them into the higher level courses as well. If they have that 2.75 GPA with an A or B in high school Algebra 2 or Trig, Algebra 2 Trig, they only will be able to go high as Math 100. They won't be able to do the 109, 110 Prereqs. So, you know, just keep that in mind, because what's going to happen is those continuing students that, you know, retook the AccuPlacer trying to get out of Math 100 or didn't take math, but they started in the spring, didn't take math that first semester, but they'd had that 18 or 19 and then, you know, possibly didn't take math for whatever reason. They're not going to get those higher level courses this fall. They're going to have to go ahead and take that Math 100. And I would advise them to go ahead and do it and not wait to see if we're going to offer those in the spring, because there are going to be a lot of unknowns. And I can kind of fill you in on this since you all are tutors. One of the reasons it's not being offered is because we're going to this hybrid online format, and that 109, 111 Prereq just wouldn't serve a good purpose for a student to pay $160, well, $162, because we're going up $2 on tuition, to pay $162 to have to do an hour online course when, you know, that instructor can work with them, you know, some extra time, or the student can just log in to Upswing and get online tutoring. So that played a factor into it, as well as, you know, just the unknown of doing a course like that online. It probably wasn't going to serve or be used to the best of its benefit. So That was one of the reasons it was done away with for the fall. So we'll see what happens in the spring because we still don't know what this situation is going to bring us in the spring. And then if we had to jump back online in the fall like we had to do in the spring, you know, we would have been put in the same situation where students are taking a 1-hour course online that really probably wasn't used to the best of its ability. So that's the reason that we're not going to do those. You know, those weighed in on why we didn't offer those this semester. So just wanted you to be aware of that. But with that being said, like I say, when they click on the Math 110, you won't see, it didn't take, the update didn't take. And maybe it has to update overnight. I just removed this this prereq of needing the 18 on the ACT and taking Math 109. So those hopefully will be gone by tomorrow because I did remove those. So students and advisors will know that, you know, those prereqs can't be used. But everything else is still in there. The student makes it 20 on the ACT and has taken at least Algebra 2 in high school with a C or higher. They could take Math 110. Like I said, this high school GPA I've taken out. It hasn't reflected yet. Maybe banner updates at a certain time, but those will be removed. But everything else will be there for them to see. The accurate place to score 267 or higher. If they take a Math 100 with a C or higher, or if they're taking any other upper level math, they can take Math 110. Any questions about the 109, 111 co-recs or prereqs, or how the class schedule is set up? Anything so far? Any questions?
No.
Okay. One thing I want you all to, someone had a question? Or saying something?
No.
Okay. One thing I want to show you all, the campuses are the same. You know, we have, when you look at the schedule, you'll see BI for Maine, CE for Central, CA for Carver, and SW for Southwest. One thing you'll notice different is you'll see OC codes. Those OC campus codes stand for off campus. When you see an off-campus code, it'll tell you which site that course is offered on. So this course is at the SIM site. And I'll show you why that's gonna be a little bit, you'll need to know that because when students first see that OC code, it may not tell them exactly what they wanna know, or they may not know exactly what the code means. So I'm going to show you, if there's no questions about this, that's pretty much everything on the faculty side. I mean, it's cut and dry and streamlined. Class schedule to look at what courses are being offered, if they need to see any prereqs. Of course, course catalog will show you the course descriptions. The advisor student profile will show you the student test scores, if you need to know test scores. And then the student information menu is where you can find the unofficial transcript. So since I've been a student at Bishop, I have the student tab, and my tab looks pretty much the same as what the students will be seeing. They'll have admissions, a link to admissions, registration, their student profile. They'll be seeing the same thing you see on your end. The student records, where they can see their unofficial transcript. They can see the schedule and the catalog. They can look at their midterm grades and final grades. And if they need an enrollment verification, they can request that through student records. And then the student account, which we briefly touched on, that's where they'll make their payment. They can see any charges they owe. They're looking for their 1098T. That information will be in here. So just so you know, everything, all applications, admissions applications are done online. We've done away with paper, except for these bottom three. We're still doing paper for dual enrollment, accelerated students, and international students because they're accepted in different ways. But all first-time freshmen, returning students, any transfer student, a non-degree, or a transient student, they will do their applications online. All right. So when the student get ready to register for a course, they'll click on the registration link. Just like in boards we had that add or drop class link where they went into and they added their courses. Of course, registration is not open, so I can't register for anything right now. Plus I'm inactive, so it wouldn't let me register anyway. Okay, but what I can do right now, and what students have been doing all week, they've been able to look up classes. So when they look up classes, they'll of course select fall 2020. They'll select the subject they're looking for, and they'll do a course search. It's going to show every course that's offered under that subject. So for English, it's going to list everything from 099 to 272, all the lists. When a student clicks on view sections, it's going to show every section that's offered for that course. So here are all the sections for English 101. And like I said, the campus codes are the same. Here are your main campus. You have Carver campus. Those are only two we have right there. All right, so when a student looks at this, what is the student seeing? This first column where it says select and it has this NR. The NRs are showing because they're not able to register right now because registration hasn't opened up. When registration opens, there'll be a little box right here for students to check, and that would allow them to register for the course. And if they read right here, which you know a lot of students don't, but it'll tell them to select the box in front of the CRN and choose register or add to worksheet. Those buttons will appear down here underneath when registration opens. So basically they'll check that box and they'll click on register or add to worksheet, and it'll add it to their schedule for them. If the CRN has a C, if right here, if it has a C before the CRN, then that means the class is closed. So it's not going to allow them to register, of course. All right. So just going across the row, this line is showing English 101. The sections, these sections haven't been updated yet because that's on me. When I put this schedules together, I wasn't aware how sections were going to work with Banner, but it'll pretty much be the same way we see in Alliant. You may see an A01 or a B01, or you may just see the sections numbered. If we have 10 offerings of Art 100, and I'll show you Art, it might just be labeled 0 through 10, just to show you, how many sections we have. The student will see how many credit hours the course is, the course title, the days it's offered, the times, the capacities, how many students have registered, how many seats are remaining. It'll show the instructor's name. It'll show the location, and then it'll give the student the area attribute or what area that falls under. All right. So when the student, or if the student clicks on the CRN, they can get more information about the course. And it's going to basically bring them back to that class schedule listing that we just looked at. It's going to show the days and times. It'll show them the Caldwell building is where this class is going to be held, the instructor's name, the campus location, all of that. They can click on the section again like we did under the class schedule, and it's going to give them all the details so they can see on their end from when they're getting ready to register. If they need to know, okay, I tried to register for this class, but it's telling me I don't meet the requirements, prereqs not met, or whatever the message is going to give them. They can come in here and see what they need to take this class. I need an 18. And you can see that this is a lot. Everything runs together. So it is there, but again, our students may or may not read all of this. So you know that it is here for them to see, so you can always pull it up with them. But you have to do it on your side. That's another thing. We will not be able to register students. They have to do it themselves. What I'm looking at the student side, the way it's showing, you see, we didn't see this on our end. This is only on the student's end, and this is how they will register. The only way you will be able to register a student is if they log into their banner and they're in just like I am now, and you're right there with them, telling them which class to select, and you're selecting these CRN numbers. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to advise them and show them how to register themselves so that they can do this on their own. because and it's not something that Bishop chose to do. This is how Banner is set up. That's why it's called service Banner. It's for them to service themselves, basically. It is what the name says. But I want to go back out and show you something about those, this campus codes that I was telling you about. So I'm gonna select Art 100. You see with the sections on Art, I set those up, they're just numbered. We have a total of 13 sections of Art. So they were just numbered 0 through 13. You'll see with the campus codes, OL, I didn't mention that. OL means online. That's an online course. So of course you won't see any days of time for that. Again, BI's main campus. As you see this OC campus code, again, that means off campus. So right here it says BAKR. We know that's Baker. A student may not know, especially if they're from Mobile. But what the student can do is click into this CRN and it'll tell them Baker High School. So even if they don't know what that acronym means, they can click on that CRN and it'll give them detailed information. I'm gonna show you another one because the Theodore site, the Baker, Baker High School, Alma Brown High School, and the SIM site all are set up similar with that acronym or that code. But if they click down into that CRN, they will actually see what site that stands for. So I'm gonna go into History 101. It also has an OC code for campus. The location is TD. Most of our students in Mobile won't even know what TD is, let alone students from Mississippi or Florida or you know, out of town somewhere. But if they click on that CRN, some of our people may not even know what TD means. But if they click on that CRN, they'll see that that stands for the Theodore site. They can see what location that course is offered on. So that's pretty much it on the student side. Again, it's streamlined. Everything is there for them to access. Of course, there's going to be some things to work out. You know, they'll need to know what links to click on to find what they're looking for. But it's pretty much self-explanatory and easy to use. Anyone have any questions about the student side or any issues they may see the student facing or anything that they might want to know? I'm gonna take no questions as everybody's good.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I say, it's cut and dry. And on the faculty side, the only tabs we will have, and like I said, unless you've been a student, if you've been a student, then you'll have all 4 of these tabs. If you haven't been a student, then you'll just see these 3, the faculty services, employee, and finance. Employee is all your HR information. I'm sure Miss Kenya will go through that at some point in time. Maybe when professional development is worked out, they may have that set up.
Mr. Medine,
Yes.
I did see earlier when you were showing us a listing of the different classes, I think it was under the course catalog, they didn't put the 98 and 100 under the math. You said this is a list of the courses that we offer. I don't remember where it was, but like it was, oh no, it was in the areas where you had like area 1, area 2.
Oh, yeah. So the Math 098 won't have an area. Well, it'll just have developmental attached to it.
Oh, okay.
Not associated with an area in the degree plan.
Gotcha.
So you know, students won't be able to use that, of course, as a course to go towards graduation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Both 098s are set up like that, and both 099s, the English side, is set up that way.
Okay.
And the 109s and 111s were set up that way as well before we removed them for the fall. But they are still in the system, and they are set up with those developmentals because we decided not to let students use those as electives because they're not.
Okay.
They won't be transferable credits.
Gotcha. Okay.
So whenever, you know, all the login kinks are worked out and you're able to log in, you can log in and go through the employee stuff. Some of it has been updated, you know, it'll show you your job title, your pay, salary, and of course everything will be going through this. On the finance tab, this is where you will do requisitions for those that will have access to requisitions. But that'll be handled by the business office, and you know they'll do training as needed for those that will have that access to requisitions. But that's where that will be. So like I say, I mean, it's streamlined. You know, in Alliant we had a whole bunch of, and that's because in Alliant everything was so, you know, individualized. You had a menu for every little thing, but with Banner, you know, they grouped a lot of stuff together. So like I say, it won't be hard to navigate or figure it out, but if you all have questions about anything, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Phil. I've mostly during this Banner transition been handling the catalog and curriculum. So if there's anything dealing with schedule or courses, you know, you can reach out to me, admissions, requirements, or, you know, how to do the scores and the testing, you know, that falls under the student services, which will be with Phil and Miss LaTanya. So, but we're, like I say, we're always available if you need help with anything, because I know this is going to be a rough ride, especially when this thing opens up on Monday. And those that can't log in, you know, that's going to be their first time really being able to get into it. It may be, you know, it may be a little fast, but we'll be available, and our consultants at Banner have Zoom sessions open all day from 8 to 5. So if there's anything we need to reach out to them for, we can always jump on a Zoom session and get that information and get it back to you all. And like I said, they ACCS sent out an employee, a faculty and staff user guide, and they sent out a student user guide. And Dr. Perry put booklets together for some hard copies, but I think we ran out of those, but it is in PDF format. So I'll be sending that out to you all, so you'll have that as a reference. And it'll show a lot of screenshots of the same things that I just went through with you all. And then Theo has something that he's working on for students to have access to, that'll show PowerPoints, screenshots of what it looks like on the student side, just to have some more tutorials for them to use. So I don't think it'll be that much of a headache. The biggest headache so far has just been getting everybody in on the student side and the faculty side. But once those kinks are worked out, I honestly believe everything will be smooth sailing from here on out.
And are they gonna email us our A number? Are we?
Yes, that will be coming out. Phil, you still with me? I don't know if that's gonna come from HR or IT.
Okay.
I mean, it should come out from HR, but they can see it on their self-service.
Yeah, that's something. Let me show you. If you all are able to get into your self-service. See, I just clicked on faculty detail, and there your A number. It'll pop up right there next.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, if you get into the if you can log into self-service, you'll have your A number right there.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
I appreciate you all joining this session. Sorry some things came up, so we weren't able to do it face to face, but hopefully I'll see y'all on campus Monday. And we'll rock and roll with this registration.
Thank you, Mr. Mediz.
All right, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Said it. All right.